Hey, welcome back. Okay, in this video, we are going to talk about empathy as the second of the three core conditions for a successful coaching relationship. So, love this quote by Brene Brown. Rarely can a response make something feel better. What makes something feel better is connection. So it's not you as a coach, you don't have to have all of the answers. That is not the job of a coach. The coach's job is to help the client come to a place where they discover the answers to the things that they're struggling with. That if you just, it's the teach them how to fish, feed them for a lifetime, give them a fish, feed them for a day. You want to show them that they have what it takes to solve their problems, to go out and find solutions, to implement them, and to see success. And your coaching is going to facilitate that. Okay, so when someone comes to you and they're in pain, or they're really struggling, they're facing some kind of adversity, being empathetic is a fantastic response. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to have the solution. Just be with them in the struggle. Okay, and so couple kinds of empathy that I want to cover, and then I want to talk about process versus content and how empathy plays a role in that. I'm on page 10 and 11 in the Life Care Training Workbook if you're following along. So, cognitive empathy is basically understanding logically how your client feels. So, you're kind of perspective taking. You're putting yourself in their shoes, and you're connecting the dots logically in the way that they would connect the dots. And you're saying, like, yeah, I see how from your perspective this is what it looks like to you. Okay, that's cognitive empathy, and that's good. Emotional empathy is a kind of deeper level of empathy, and in that, what you're doing is you're connecting to a time that you felt the same way that your client is feeling right now. So let's say they feel angry, and it's over something that you wouldn't, necessarily feel angry about. Like they're in the grocery store and the store's out of peanut butter, and they go ballistic and start throwing things. Like, you might not ever do that, but what you can do is think, okay, when's a time where I felt so angry that I could throw things? Think back to that time, remember what that feels like, and then you say to yourself, okay, this is what my client is feeling. Or say it's sadness that your client is feeling. Again, whether you would be sad about it or not, you personally, it doesn't matter. There have been times when you've been sad. Connect to that feeling and then understand this is what my client is feeling. Okay? That's emotional empathy, and that's the deepest kind of empathy. Now, I mentioned process versus content. So, in a coaching session, process is what's happening between you and the client right now. So let's say that your client is clenching their fists as they talk, or let's say that their eyes get a little bit misty as they're telling you something. So in the first case, you would say, like, I notice you're clenching your fists as you talk about your relationship with your father. Tell me about that. Or, I notice that your eyes are getting misty as you tell me about your mother. It looks like there's some emotion coming up for you. Tell me about that. Put some words to that for me. So those are called process comments. You're pointing out what's happening between you and me right now. Okay. Now, how does this relate to empathy? When you are empathetic with a client, and let's say they're sad and they see that you're feeling it and you're with them in that emotion, that is something that's happening on the process level. I didn't mention the content level is the stuff that you're talking about. It's usually stuff that's happening out there, outside of the coaching room. Okay, you're talking about other people, other relationships, other events that happen. That's the content of what you're talking about. Process is what's happening in the room between you and the client. So when they see an empathetic response from you, that's process. They see that you're not just telling them that you care. They can see that you care. And in the book, I say it's show versus tell. I can say, hey, I really care about you. Or by my response, like, oh man, that's so hard. Or wow, I can really see why you're struggling with that. Tell me more about that. I'm showing you that I care. And it's more impactful. Process is always more impactful than content. Just telling somebody something is fine, but when you're showing them, it's deeper, it leaves a more lasting impression, and it just feels more genuine and true and more intense. It does turn up the intensity knob on the relationship. So that is empathy. Cognitive empathy is great, but emotional empathy is even better. The one other thing about empathy to let you know is empathy doesn't always equal agreement. It doesn't have to equal agreement. You don't have to agree with somebody to empathize with them. So you just have to put yourself in their perspective, try and understand on a cognitive level why they think the way they think, why they feel the way they feel. And if you can get there on an emotional level, what is it that they're actually feeling? You know, I often say that Jesus is like the empathy of God. He didn't just, you know, God is everywhere, but he didn't stay removed from the things of the world and just, you know, as an all-knowing being, kind of look down from afar and say that he understands what it's like to be us. In Hebrews, it says that Jesus is a superior high priest because he actually became us. And he knows what it feels like to go through the things that we go through in this life. And that sounds like empathy to me. I mean, talk about, you know, we can't become our clients in order to understand their experience the way that Jesus became human to understand our experience. But we can achieve emotional empathy if we just think back to a time when we're experiencing the same emotions that they're struggling with, really kind of take that on, and then come alongside them from that place of emotional empathy. It will really strengthen your bond. It will strengthen the trust. It will strengthen the rapport. Your client will feel like you are for them, like they have an ally in you, and that is an excellent place to be in the relationship with your client. So that's empathy, and that's why it's so important. Okay. In the next one, we are going to be turning the page and talking about how to build trust and rapport. And a big part of that is by being congruent. So we'll be talking about congruence in the next one. See you there.